Hi everybody, this is our homework review for the proportion worksheet that was due, well now I guess officially yesterday on turnitin.com. But here are the answers so that you can review them and make sure that you are prepared for the proportion section of your test that you'll be taking next week. The other part of the test will be percent proportions. And the other part of the test will be solving. So we'll be finishing up our big Chapter 2 test when we get back to school next week. For now, here are the answers to the homework problems. So for number 1, I saw a relationship of numbers here. When I went from 16 to 8, I could divide by 2. And so I could divide 12 by 2, and I would get that n equals 6. Again, when you see a relationship of numbers on these proportions, that's the way you want to solve them if you can. That's the easiest, most direct way. So when I moved to number 2, I didn't see a relationship between the 5 and the 3. However, I did see that I could reduce 5 over 15 and make that into 1 over 5. So when I did that, then I saw a relationship between 1 and 3. I could multiply by 3. So when I did the same then to 5, 5 times 3 gave me that k equals 15. So again, a relationship of numbers was not obvious to begin with, but once I reduced 5 over 15 into 1 over 5, then I saw a relationship and I could apply it. For number 3, when I see 18 over 30, right away I know I can reduce that. I can reduce it by 6, each, that numerator and denominator. And again, by doing that, I then found simpler numbers to work with. And I could say, although I don't see a relationship, I can cross multiply and solve. So 5 times y is 5y. That equals 12. How I got 12 was 3 times 4. Then I just solve for y, divide both sides by 5, and y equals 12 over 5, which is correct. All right, number 4. These are the ones that I told you ahead of time. You're going to have to cross multiply, and you're going to have to use distributive property, because you notice I can go 4 times n and get 4n. But in order to get the other side of the equal sign, I have to go 16 times whatever the value of n plus 12 is. So what I have to do there is use distributive to get 4n equals 16n plus, and then 16 times 12 is 192. Now I can solve. I subtracted 16n from both sides, got negative 12n equals 192. Divide both sides by negative 12, and n equals negative 16. Number 5, I don't see a relationship between 8 and 30, but I do see that I could reduce 8 over 20. So if you look over here on the left side, I reduced 8 over 20 down to 2 over 5. Then I saw that if I multiplied 2 times 15, I got 30. So I could multiply 5 times 15 to get c equals 75. For any of these that I saw a relationship of numbers, remember you can always cross multiply and you can still get the same answer. If I reduced and you didn't want to reduce, that's fine. You would still cross multiply. You just have a little bit more reducing to do in order to solve and reduce your final answer. But either way, there's only one right answer for each one of these. Number 6. This is another one where I noticed I could reduce the 30 over 100, take out those 10s there, that last 0 on each one, and I get 3 over 10. Then I saw a relationship to go from 3 to 24 was times 8. So 10 times 8 is 80. And I'm done. For number 7, I had to cross multiply. So 2 times c plus 5, use your parentheses, distribute that 2, equals 3. 3 times 1 is 3. So then 2c equals negative 7, and c equals negative 7 halves. I did plug that in to make sure it was correct, and it is. So that's your answer there. All right, number 8. We needed, for number 8, to cross multiply because we had that plus there on that left numerator. So we had 4 times n. Looking at the wrong one there. There's the problem. All right, let's try this again. There we go. All right, so 4 times b plus 10, that looks better, equals 8 times 2b minus 7. Distribute both sides, move your variable over, isolate it, get a coefficient of 1, we get b equals 8. Again, the solving of these should be already mastered. That was we spent a lot of time on that earlier, so that should already be mastered. But if you are having trouble or problems, please email me. Let me know what trouble you're having so we can get it set before next week's test. Number 9, we're going to cross multiply again. 8 times x plus 3 equals 7 times 4 is 28. So 8x plus 24 is 28. Subtract 24 from both sides. 8x equals 4. Divide both sides by 8 and reduce. X equals 1/2. All right, now the story problems. Remember that proportions are really useful, and we can set up and find missing values this way. So if I can read 7 pages in a book in 5 minutes, I can make that a proportion. And notice how I use my little units here, 7 pages every 5 minutes. I want that to equal 175 pages in X minutes because that's what I don't know. I need to know how many minutes, right? So 7 goes into 175. It's actually times 25. So 5 times 25 is 125 minutes. I left it as minutes. This worksheet did say to turn it into hours and minutes. We know 120 is 2 hours. So that would be 2 hours and 5 minutes. But I would accept 125 minutes. That would be okay. For number 11, this one we really had to watch our units. We had to change 5 dozen cookies into 60 cookies. We got that by saying 5 times 12, right? There's 12 cookies in a dozen. So 12 times 5 is 60 cookies. So I have 4 cups of flour, F, for every 60 cookies, C. That is equal to how many cups of flour for 90 cookies? So I reduced 4 over 60. I made it 2 over 30. And I saw that I could multiply 30 times 3 to get to 90. And then I could multiply 2 times 3 to get to 6. So I need 6 cups of flour for 90 cookies. The last one was similar to the first. If I make 12 birdhouses in 8 hours, how long will it take for me to make 30 birdhouses? Well, X hours would go down here on the bottom. I reduced 12 over 8 to 6 over 4. And the reason I went to 6 over 4 is because I know 6 times 5 is 30. So 4 times 5 would give me 20. So 20 hours to make 30 birdhouses. We will do one more day of review when we get back to school to make sure we're all ready for this last test. And we'll have a test next week over solving, proportions, and percent proportions. See you Monday.